Why is she like this? Here's you giving like the best speech. Like, I reckon you deserve an Oscar for this.
Mama's Code.
Hey
mamas. How are we all?
Good.
Have you guys been enjoying the weather?
Don't know, I haven't left my house.
Before we forget, because we always do this, I'm Jess.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Melissa. And today we have the lovely Laura joining us. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. Just really enjoying my time during quarantine. Not many are able to see it as a positive thing, but it's all about trying to really get out of that bubble and make the most out of it.
Well, I think that's something we try to repeat to each other as well all the time. It's quite easy to focus on the negatives and you forget switching your mind to think, yes, it's a negative, but what good is coming out of it as well?
How many kids do you have?
So I have 2 kids. The oldest one is 3 and the youngest one is 18 months.
How have you found being at home with the kids and the age difference? Is it a battle sometimes for you?
Yeah, definitely it's a battle because it's more about sharing things. It's been like a roller coaster, being a mum of 1 at the beginning is, it's nice. It's you just experimenting things. When it comes to the second one is, I know what to expect, but then you don't really know what to expect in terms of siblings kind of thing, what they're going to be arguing about. It's been a journey.
And they have different personalities. So you finally managed to control one personality and then another one comes and you're just like, wow, I didn't know you had this in you.
It's so true. Like the oldest one, I thought he was naughty. Like he's cheeky, but then the girl, she is like a girl. Like she's like diva. She can be, a diva. Like she throws herself on the floor and I have to make sure that I don't treat her differently because she's the youngest and she's actually very petite, so it makes us feel like she's actually still a baby, but she's not. So we have to still tell her off, and Jacob's always watching, naughty Sophia. I'm the parent, like don't do that.
Did you find their pregnancies different or their labours?
Yeah, definitely labours. The oldest one, Jacob, was really tough. First pregnancy, didn't really prepare much. But in terms of the whole pregnancy, they were very similar. I didn't have morning sickness. I basically had a great pregnancies with both of them. But like I said, it was just the labor. Jacob's labor was very intense. It was still quick, but in terms of pain. And when it came to my second labor, I was more prepared. I was doing more exercises. I was trying to drink more water. I was practicing my breathing. And she came out in like 3 pushes.
Yeah, I feel you're always more prepared for the second time round.
Yeah.
It's not the unknown in a weird way, is it?
Yeah, you kind of know what you're expecting.
But like, say the first time round, don't you think like you're more into like researching because you don't know what to expect?
Even if you do research, you kind of like, it depends on the type of person you are, really. You can research all, like, even for my second pregnancy, didn't you guys have to nag me like 39 weeks? Can you please pack your hospital bag? Because I was still slacking.
I went with her to buy the stuff. I literally was like, I'm not leaving you until we buy this bag. I don't care if I have to take it with you. This is just not happening. I
took on like a relaxed approach. And then obviously with my first, I attended the classes, but because I don't know, I don't think I researched it all. And my boyfriend bought me like 7 books to read, and when it tells you how you're meant to breathe, and I can guarantee I didn't learn anything, because when it came to labor, boy, no one prepared me for that.
That went out the window.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I know that for my second one. I don't know why. I think because of the pain I experienced, I didn't want to go through that again. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely.
Did it not put you off?
No, it didn't. But I knew I wanted more kids, but they were both surprised as well, actually. I was three months pregnant with the oldest, and I was 4 months pregnant with the youngest. So wow. Like I said, I didn't experience any nausea, any morning sickness. So I was pregnant, and I was actually on contraception as well.
Hey, me too.
Both times.
Yeah, both times.
Oh my God.
The first one was pills, and the second one was the coil.
Wow. It's crazy. It's almost like can you get any more clearer it's meant to be.
Yeah, literally.
To be fair, contraception says 99% effective.
Exactly.
So
Say for me, yeah, I was on the patch and I don't like it being messy down there, so I always use a condom. And yet I have 2 kids, so I don't. Can someone needs to explain that to me, because or my husband's been, poking the condoms without me knowing, but something was wrong. It's like he looks at me and then bang, I'm pregnant.
Gosh.
So how do you keep yourself centered with the 2 kids? And I guess obviously I know you said you don't treat the girl different, but it's still 2 different like personalities.
Yeah. Obviously there are times where it's more trial and error, and that's how I see motherhood. We don't always know what the right way is. We don't come prepared. Being a mother, I'm sure we all know here, it's being everything: a cook, a teacher, a cleaner, a doctor. So it's just be prepared as to it can go wrong or right, and it doesn't matter because you're trying your best. The same with our mums. They didn't know. So it's like a cycle that keeps happening. So I sometimes do some research because they're both different. Jacob is more emotional than Sophia, which is the girl, the youngest. So I still don't know, but that's okay. Like here and there, I'll say, okay, let's try this. Let's try, if Jacob doesn't want to eat chicken, let's not give him any snacks, let him eat it. And if it doesn't work, okay, let's try this. But it's not being too hard on yourself, because we all know we all go through the same thing.
It's funny because when we go through these things, whilst we know that we're not alone, when we're feeling like that, we genuinely feel like we are, and we can't see past that. But yet when you voice it and you speak to other mums or whatever, they're like, oh yeah, I remember this happened, or I remember when this, and you automatically you just feel like, okay.
I know at the beginning, like I never used to say anything, I think because I felt so guilty of how bad I felt, or the fact that I'd go and even cry in the bathroom when I'm having a shower. But I think it feels, for me, I can only speak from my experience, that it feels lonely because we're not used to that lifestyle. It's a completely drastic lifestyle that we have to get used to. And I had Jacob when I was 21. So I had just kind of been trying to finish my master's degree. And all of a sudden, I can't take long in the showers. My husband's still having to work. We were still at my mom's. So it's like, this is not what I was preparing for. I don't know what to expect. I still had to study. Yeah, so it's kind of like we don't come prepared. We don't know the expectations that are going to happen. So we feel lonely. And that's something that I wanted to say, yeah.
Do you not think social media plays a big part in how we handled that situation? Because we might think, oh look, that mom looks like she's got her shit together, when in reality no one does. But you will speak to certain people and they will like just go on like, oh no, my kid, he sleeps throughout the night. But I'm sure that you've had days where your kid doesn't sleep, because no kid is perfect, just as well like no mum is perfect. We've said it many times that it's like a learning curve, and every single day is different. Like we've all experienced it. Like our kids one day sleep perfectly and are well behaved, and then the next day it's like a devil has gotten into them, and it's just different.
Who are you?
Or something else is that, let's say, because my kids are actually like that. They have been good sleepers. I don't have to rock them to sleep since they were 3-4 months. I didn't rock them, and I would put them in the bed, and it was a journey. There will be times when they're teething, when this or that, but maybe I'm dealing with other problems in terms of my son bites his nails all the time, or he's too emotional. So even if you see one mom, oh, she's great doing in that area, like she's probably having another area that she's not doing so well.
Exactly.
And we're aware that Instagram, we only post what we share, what we decide to share. So even when I see moms, happy and stuff, I know what they're going through because I've been there, and I know that they're going to have their bad days as well. And I don't feel that guilt, like, oh, like she's a better mom than me, because it's not like that.
Yeah.
Mama, I love you.
So for everyone listening, Laura is a mindset and life coach. So we're talking about having shit days, and, you know, sometimes we're like, what the hell? How do you get to coach people on how to have a good life and a good mindset when, you know, you're having shit days as well? And
one thing I say is that the bad days, like, they're always going to be there. I don't say don't, like, run away from them. I'm not telling them to ignore them, because when you ignore them, it's actually making the problem worse. So when I have a bad day, I am aware of it and I tackle it. I understand, okay, why do I feel sad? And I know that our emotions come from our thoughts. So, okay, what thoughts am I having? Is it real? Is it real thoughts? Is it based on evidence? Or is it my imagination? And that's how I'm able to understand if I'm having a bad day. And then that's how I coach women, because our emotions do come from thoughts if you do think about it. And there are exercises that I do with them to kind of prove that it is that way. And even when I have bad days, like, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just controlling them and not letting that affect your relationships with your husband, with your kids, and affecting how you're going to proceed in life, basically.
All of a sudden, I'm like, where do I sign up?
Laura, you do one-to-one sessions for anyone interested in getting their life sorted.
Yep, I'll DM you later.
How did you start this, and why?
So I actually graduated in chemistry, so nothing to do with life coaching. But since becoming a mom, I used to, like, do a lot of the play dates, and I used to, you know, just have those conversations with mums as we were talking about what they're going through. And I found myself coaching them as a friend from my knowledge, from no studying at the beginning.
We need to put Laura on speed dial, guys.
Can we be friends?
Yeah, so, like, every mom's different. Every mom goes through different situations. There's single moms, there's, you know, moms with toxic relationships, there's moms that don't know how to handle their kids, or even still living with their families. Like, I just found myself always giving advice, and it actually helped them. And I would find myself going the extra mile. Like, let's say, I know sometimes as moms, we put our career on pause, and I know that what their passions are. And in my head, it's like, why don't you do it then? What's stopping you? And they have that mental block. But for me, I wouldn't see it that way. So whenever I would be, like, at home and I would see maybe someone, I knew one of my friends wanted to become a hairdresser. If I came across the course, I'd be like, hey, look, I found this course, see how much you can save each month, and then you can do it. Like, your life still goes on. And I just found a passion for that. And when my husband was working long hours, he would be coming home at like 10, 11 p.m. So I would only see him for an hour a day. So I kind of use that time to question, okay, what am I going to do with my life? You know, basically the questions that I would give my friends, what am I going to do? What are my passions? I considered doing different types of businesses, drop shipping, like mom groups, like things like that. And then I started looking into, like, coaching, and started looking at my skills, my abilities. And then I started buying courses, because I had to make investments as well. The life coaching certificate course, even how to build your own business. And yeah, I'm here now.
Holding your shit together.
Do you sometimes find it hard to, you know, we've said that when you have bad days and you're giving out that advice, to give it to yourself? You know, you go through that kind of breakdown of how am I feeling, all these thoughts, but do you also sometimes feel like you put yourself in, like, your client's position, and then you automatically, what's the word I'm looking for, kind of
like, you feel their emotions? Or
yeah, like, you feel their emotions, and you're almost looking at it from, like, two angles.
I'm that friend that if you cry, I cry with you. So I had to be the brave one. And I remember it very clearly. I had this one client, and she was leaving her marriage. And I was just like, wow. She came to me personally. And when I saw her breaking down, I really wanted to cry with her. I maybe shed a tear, but I knew that I had to be there for her and coach her through her emotions, through making decisions, because I don't make decisions for you, because you have to make them yourself. You know, we've all been brought up differently. So even now, when I don't ask my friends for advice a lot of the time, because a lot of them are not married. So how am I going to ask them for relationship advice when they've been brought up differently?
Yeah, makes sense.
That's a tough one, because you're almost having to play two roles because you kind of know the skills that you need to do on yourself. Mm-hmm. But then when you're having those bad days, you know, you're relating to clients. And
Yeah. But that's why it's like we're all human. It's like I'm there to coach someone, and I kind of apply the lessons myself. One thing that, let's say, if a lot of my clients struggle with confidence, I also maybe times where I don't feel that confident. So I do things to step outside of my comfort zone, and I kind of embrace it because I know I have to do it.
We all probably go through all these different categories of emotions and situations, but because we're not speaking it out, or you just, like you were saying, you just block yourself out and just think, oh, I'm the only one going through this. And
But that's why I said that's dangerous, because if we think about your fears, let's say you're scared of public speaking. People are going to tell you, well, that means you need to face them and you need to do public speaking and you'll become better. So it's the same thing with whenever we have doubts or things that we suffer from, you have to face them. I always use the fears as an example of public speaking, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not good at it, so I'm not going to do it. And it's the same thing. You're still there. You're not progressing. You're not growing in something that you never know could be good.
Do you only mentor women?
Yeah. I have had 2 or 3 men approach me. And it's like, I know it's something like mental health. It's something that is for everyone. But I've only had that connection with women. Like whenever I speak to my husband, it's different. They come from, they're just different. And I wouldn't know how to approach, if when I tried to practice when I was doing my coaching courses, he'll be like, oh, I don't know. It's like, come on. You're not helping.
Just seem to not say anything.
I just think that men often repress their feelings, but I think it comes down from like their parents and their parents' parents, because it's always been a thing where if a guy cries, it's like, don't cry, you're not a girl. And personally, I hate that, because it's like, if you look at the statistics between like women and men in like suicide, man is much higher, because obviously they have to feel like, I'm like this macho man and I can't cry and I can't show emotion. And it's really sad, because say like in a relationship, if I'm going through depression, my husband or partner is obviously going to want to support me, but do I take a step back and kind of think, wow, what is my depression doing to this person? Because it can literally take a toll on the other person. It can drain them, seeing you upset day in, day out, seeing you unhappy, because depression is a really nasty thing.
Mama's Code.
I had a question for you. Have you ever, like, I know this is very personal, but have you ever seen yourself like not mentally okay?
Yeah. And this is another reason why I do it, and why I've changed my perspective in terms of the feelings of depression, anxiety, and stress. Because after giving birth to my first, I did feel depressed. I went through that. I didn't have the motivation to do anything. I thought that my career had ended. I think that's where it came from, because I graduated with a 6-month-old, and all my life I thought I had to continue to PhD level. All of a sudden was like, here you go though. You need to take a break. You know how it is. You have no breaks, you're waking up, you're constantly tired, and there's nothing you can do about it. But this is what I say, like sometimes when it comes to depression, and I don't want to obviously offend other people because I know it can be such a sensitive topic, is I put that barrier as to I'm feeling depressed. I need to learn to not let this emotion get me. We don't say, oh, like I'm happy. Like, yes, I'm happy, but it's a feeling. So when I made that separation, it actually made a huge difference. I feel depressed. Okay, why? Remember what I said. Always like understand where your emotions are coming from, and it's with thoughts. I was feeling depressed because I thought I no longer knew who I was anymore.
Accepting that as well, and not having that fear of saying, all right, I'm depressed.
Would you also not say that it's very important to talk about it?
Yeah, 100% it's important to talk about it. Like I have a client who she's been diagnosed with depression. So that's obviously more serious, because at times we don't actually say anything and we're like, oh, I'm depressed. But she's been diagnosed with it. But even then she was like, all I get given is just medication, and I have to wait till it kicks in, and she's not happy. She wants to understand why she's depressed. And I actually checked up with her this morning, and she's actually doing great. And she said she doesn't feel depressed today. And I was like, great, you first of all, you made that separation. I didn't feel depressed today. So it's, like I said, it's to do with unlocking things from our past and what have they done to our emotions.
Yeah.
But definitely something that you need to speak about.
It's definitely a journey. It's definitely a journey that you take. And I think as long as you're willing to know that, let's say you need help, or
another thing.
You know, you can accept the fact that, okay, there's something not quite right here. I might need to reach out. I feel like that's such an important part of knowing. I think there's nothing worse than feeling all these things but trying to like suppress them and think it's going to go away, or it's nothing, or I must feel a different way, so I'm just going to push them to one side, and then they'll just escalate like a snowball effect and just become worse. And all of a sudden a problem that you could have tackled a month, 2 months ago, whenever, has now escalated to the point where...
No, it could turn into years. And I feel like every person that goes through this, the main reason they don't talk about it is because firstly, they're scared. And secondly, they don't want to be deemed weak, because obviously
their proudness.
Yes, exactly. Most people, you know, say for instance, me, like, you know, everyone sees me as like a great mother. Like I get comments and they, oh, you're doing great at this, but no one really knows like the demons I battle with in my mind. So, you know, if I was ever diagnosed with it, I'd be like, how could I ever come clean and say, you know, like, I've been clinically diagnosed with depression? That's just going to be a thing where I don't know if I'm ready to accept it. What Melissa was saying, you know, accepting that you need that help, that for me is already, you know, you're showing great improvement, because you've actually said to yourself, okay, look, I obviously don't feel okay. And that's like that's the biggest step you can take, because you're obviously battling that depression, that anxiety, whatever feeling, and you're going to get that help, which most people that obviously end in worse conditions don't do, because of that barrier, that wall that they need to maintain to look that they're doing okay.
Yeah. And it's also like when doctors do diagnose you, I've seen the pattern, and I've been taught this, that you label yourself as a depressed person. So people have searched, you know, what does it mean to be a depressed person? And they see all these things that they do, so they feel like they have to behave that way as well.
They get influenced.
Exactly, they're influenced by what they are being told.
It's like a learnt behavior.
Yeah, and then they class themselves as depressed. And where, like you said, when does it go? You don't know unless you stop, like, victimizing yourself as a depressed person.
And kind of shaking it off. Like Erica was saying, it's probably its strongest point where you stop being in denial and actually seek for help. I think it's contagious as well.
And something else is, from experience again, is whenever I've felt depressed, is I think a lot about my past, and what ifs, what that, why am I not where I am? Whereas when I do coach these women that are going through depression, is let's look at the future. What is it that you want? Because we get so used to thinking about what we don't want that we don't do anything about it. So it's shifting that mentality. What is it that you want? Because then you're getting your brain used to, okay, let's say, as I was saying, let's say I want to become a hairdresser. What do I need to do? I need to study. What do I need to do? I need to save up. What do I need to do? I need to wait maybe till my son goes to nursery, and that's okay. It's also accepting and taking responsibility as to where you want.
It's like you say, it's the accepting, like kind of like going outside of your comfort zone, because if you continue to do everything that you're comfortable with, you're not going to be able to achieve much more from that. So you have to go out there and feel uncomfortable to then feel comfortable and
get yourself out of wherever you are.
Yeah.
I personally find that hard, because people ask me, what do you want to eat? And most of the time I have no idea. There's like 100 options. So it's hard. If you ask me, what do you want to do in life? I'm not sure. What do you want to eat? I'm not sure. I said, me and the girls have, honestly, the guys are like, what do you want to eat, guys? And we'll literally sit for 2 hours and moan that we're starving. Can you order food? And we just don't know. Sorry, I don't know how that's relevant, but maybe I'm hungry.
It is relevant to coaching, because it's like, where does that indecisiveness come from? How have you been raised? Is it because you fear of not being right? Do you fear not making the right decision?
Ah, interesting.
What would you say a person that can't deal with change, does that fall into life coaching or the mindset of the person?
Everything to do with life falls into that. So when people don't know what is life coaching, is everything. If you want to move house, I help you with that. If you want to get a dog, I help you with that. If you want to, be more confident, it's that. If you want to understand where your habits come from, it's everything. But that's why I add the mindset into my coaching instead of just doing life coaching, because I feel like once you have the mindset foundations, you're able to do anything. Because how are you going to tackle tough days? Even if like starting a business or even at work, how are you going to control yourself and knowing where that behavior comes from?
One of the things I wanted to say, we were talking about taking the positives out of the current situation. Mm-hmm. What I've found as such a comfort is how much free stuff there's available right now in terms of helping you with anxiety or depression or coaching. People willing to do meditation, yoga, all these things for free, because yes, the current situation isn't great. Everyone's stuck at home. Things have been turned upside down, but there's been so much positivity coming out of that, that you learn so much about this wider community. And while it might be free now, maybe it won't be free when things get back to normal, but you've already made that connection and you already know that those things are available there for you. That probably, as humans, we live such a fast-paced life that sometimes we don't even take a second to just acknowledge these things. It's a warming feeling. I feel happy to know that there's things out there that should I want to approach it, or at least I know about it now. So I think that's a positive that's happened.
Is there a common
trait?
Of the women that you've coached, or, whether they're mothers or not?
I think that when women come to me, they're going to come with not just one problem. It's going to be quite a few. But if it's been one that a lot of women face, it would be confidence in their looks.
Let's talk about that before you move on. So you've obviously had kids. Did you feel any type of way in terms of your looks? Like, obviously our bodies go through drastic changes. And now that you've had 2 kids, did you feel like not body positive? Do you start, like, I go through, like, I can say I sometimes go through phases. Like sometimes, especially in the morning when, you've woken up fresh and I can see a bit of my belly and I'm like, oh yeah, you go girl. But I breathe and then that's gone. So I automatically get deflating and I'm just like, oh. And I'm not gonna lie, like Melissa has said, like, all these free gym classes and, that's just so much available. I have been like this close, like very, very close to participating in it. But, la pereza me puede más. It's just, and I feel like that's like, obviously when we knew we were going to do the episode with you, I've actually, I even have a list, I can show you it, of like the pros and cons of contacting you and having you as my life and mindset coach. Because I've literally, I've been following your page. So I'm like, and I look at the stuff you post and I'm like, wow, like she's like so motivating. I just feel like I need someone that just needs to hit me every time I kind of doubt myself.
So in terms of like appearance, I did go through that where you're not really happy with, the flab that you have or the stretch marks. But to be fair, I actually first got my stretch mark when I was in my teenage years, and I would try so hard to let it go. And, I kind of accepted that it was always going to be there. But since motherhood, it became worse. But in terms of women going through struggles with their appearance, a lot of the time has to do with the way they've been brought up. Because in fact, the reason why I struggled is because someone made a comment to me when I was 13, that I was eating too many empanadas. And I was that lighter. So, you know what? If that person's hearing it, okay. It was a guy as well. And I stopped going Lido because of that. And I used to make excuses to my friends, like, I'm busy, I can't, I need to study. When in fact it's because I didn't want the Latin community to shame me because I wasn't a skinny figure, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I made that discovery myself, and it's the same discovery that I take through clients. And it's amazing because it's like, wow, even comments that your mum makes you affect you. Like, you know, as well, like, esas cejas no le quedan bien, like things like,
but mom, love me.
and sometimes your aunties,
yeah, they like literally sit there in las fiestas, like looking at you like, ya comer más.
Está como gordita.
Let me live, sister.
every time you go to Colombia, you're like, no está comiendo mucho, o está comiendo bien. So it's understanding where that comes from and understanding that these people's beliefs of what it means to look good has come from somewhere too. So you don't have to please everyone's beliefs, because their beliefs and their opinions are just a reflection of their values and not yours.
Especially with social media now as well.
Yeah, I think that social media also impacts a lot, especially women. I know a few men get influenced by, you know, they seen like, especially like the girls have a type and they're always liking like muscly guys, and then you're going out with like a skinny dude. You're kind of like, hey, we don't have no resemblance.
What are you trying to say here?
No comment.
With social media, and if a client was to come to me in terms of their appearance, I will ask them, what accounts are you following on Instagram? Because one of the steps that I took, I used to unfollow as many celebrities, because why not? And then I was just like, wait, their profiles are on public anyway. If I really wanted to look at their lives, I'll just search them up. And till now, I don't think I follow any celebrities, and it's been like that for years.
Yeah, same.
When it comes to fitness, I get it that we want that inspiration, but then it's like, oh, I'm not there yet.
Do you know what I used to do? Like, I think maybe like 2 years ago when I started like trying to get back into the gym, and I would start on that Monday and I'd be like, yes, I'm going to work out after work. And I'd come home, sit on the sofa, and I'll go through Instagram looking for that inspiration. I'll be like, yes, I want that body. And while I'm eating like cafe con pan or just cereal, I'm like, I'm too full to go to the gym, and I just wouldn't go. And it's been, 2 years down the line, I still do the same thing. Like, I even got myself resistant bands.
Oh, same.
Tell me if I've unpacked the resistance bands. No. But what do I do when I go on Instagrams? Oh, she's got some nice, what do you call these bingo wings? Tricep. And I'm looking at mine in the mirror and I'm like...
It happens to me as well. And do you think it's because you're comfortable with the way you...
Yeah. But it's weird. Like, I'm comfortable, and I've always said this in all our episodes, because I'm still getting laid. But I can't stand in front of the mirror and feel comfortable, naked.
If we find an actual reason as to why we want to change, it might stay there. Because if you say, okay, I want to be fit because I want to feel good, like, feelings come and go, and feelings are not reliable. So if you say, oh, because I want to feel good, that's why we don't have that motivation all the time, because whenever we're feeling good with ourselves, oh, it's okay, I'll have a chocolate bar. Whenever we feel crap, it's like, oh yeah, I need to work out now.
You got chocolate all over your mouth.
I'll say something. I do every day my exercise, and my reason mainly is I find it as an escape. It's my 1 hour where I literally can put headphones in, and for me, I end up, it's that, what's that hormone it releases, like that happy hormone,
serotonin.
Yeah. So I feel so happy after. And if I'm having like a very crap day, I literally will be like, I want to feel that emotion, so I'm going to do a bit of exercise and I'll do it. Now, some days I'm not going to feel like that. And it's okay.
Yeah.
I think as long as you're doing it for a good reason, I think.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, I want to look like that, because as humans, we end up looking a little bit like that. And then we're like, oh, actually, I'm not too happy with that. I want to change this. So now my next person is this one. You might get to that person. Then all of a sudden you're like, nah, I want this one. We're never happy.
I just feel like with me, my reason is I want to be fit because I don't want to die. And I like sometimes I even like not that I don't want to die. Of course I want to die. Not now.
Yeah, like, whoa, R.I.P.
No, but I mean, you know, like I obviously see that as you get older, you know, more complications start.
Yeah.
So, you know, arthritis and high blood pressure. Like there's so many things that as you get older, you're more prone to get if you're not living like a healthy, you know, lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I just start thinking, okay, I need to do exercise. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I turn on the TV, go on YouTube and like do like a 20-minute workout. But then I get hungry and I start eating. And so I'm just like, there's no winning with me. Like I look at my watch and I'm like, yes, I burnt, you know, 100 calories. I probably eat more than what I've burnt. You know, there's just that motivation in me. It's just kind of like, what are you doing? Just don't do exercise. Do you continue eating as normal?
I'm trying to like be like careful because we're not moving much, are we? So,
I'm rolling now.
and I don't want to be rolling out of here. If I'm honest with you, you know,
You have an excuse.
what to roll out of?
Yeah.
But she doesn't fit through the door.
What happens then?
Puppy, good girl.
I wanted to touch on, like, you mentioned that you used to do, when you do exercise because it's an escape.
Yeah.
And that was the reason I went to Samba because it made me feel so happy. And like I said, I would stay at home for pretty much all day. So as soon as my husband would come in on Tuesdays is bye. I will drive and then I will have fun because it was such a fun way of exercising. And it was like my me time as well.
Yeah. I'm happy you say that because I think the girls can vouch for me saying the same thing. And the amount of times I've invited them,
Trust me.
come, it's so much fun, come, you don't understand.
I know, it's amazing.
You have the teachers like telling you, come on, faster, and you're there sweating, but it's such a good feeling.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's an escape, it's some me time.
In fact, I sweat more there than...
Me and Erica literally text each other like, she's just invited me again, but I'm going to ignore her.
Yeah,
We're like,
I block Melissa on most days. Like Tuesdays, I know she's going to tell me. And because we work really close, I try to change my route home and like I block her because I know like, are you coming Samba always comes up. But then the next day I unblock her and she's like, you didn't come. And I'm like, oh,
well,
God.
believe there's been times I'm walking, like we live close by as well, and I'm walking down one side of the road and she's going up the other and she's like, I'm going Samba, do you want to come? And I'm not seeing her, just carry on walking, cross the road.
It's like, who is that?
Thanks, guys. It's what you said. It's because I found it like, I found it almost weirdly therapeutic. So I'm like, guys, like, this has been so great for me. Like, do you want to see if you get the same hit out of it?
I will say, like, once this is all over, I will join you just because I also want to have that escape where I don't think I've found it. Well, maybe eating is my escape, but that's not just not healthy for anyone. Pretend you didn't hear that.
Big question. And I think this is like the $1 million one. Why do you think as women we lose our identity?
I can speak for myself again because I don't want to offend maybe anyone that, oh no, that's not true. I lost my identity because I thought all my life I was supposed to go uni, for example, and continue doing that. And the minute that you're not that person anymore, or there's something that comes in the way, it's like, who am I then? Who am I? And let's say footballers, you know, for so long, they are called footballers, and at school, oh, he's a footballer. And then when they retire, you're not a footballer anymore. And they go through the same thing. It's not just like women, but it's a great example to give as well. And even those who are in the army, when they're in the army, they see themselves as a hierarchy and they look at civilians as just people there, you know?
Peasants.
Yeah. So I think every woman goes through different things, right? And I mentioned, let's say those are women who label themselves as being, let's say, depressed, as we mentioned. So they class that as their identity. That's who they are. Mothers, like whenever people used to ask me, oh, so what do you do? Or let me get to know you, I always start with, oh, I'm a mom. And I sometimes used to think, or people look down at me for saying this, and it made me feel bad. Because technically that is what a mum is. Why do we have to label ourselves as a role that we make?
Yeah.
And we may lose ourselves because we don't know ourselves at the core. We think that who we are is associated with what we do in terms of our jobs or what we have. And the minute that disappears, we go through an identity crisis, and it's like, who am I? I don't know who I am anymore. And then I feel depressed, I feel anxious, I don't know what my life is, because for so many years they thought that they were, let's say, a successful woman because they had a job that was 40k above, or 60k. Obviously that's not a lot right now, but let's say like 60k, and then the minute she's earning less, she feels like she doesn't know who she is, and she feels like she's downgraded herself, when in reality it's not. As we place those beliefs in our head as to who we should be.
Do you not think it's also peer pressure? Like I'm talking more so in terms of, say, like a mother. I agree with the term that you say, you know, why would you say your role? I, for one, whenever I would go to, like, say, like a job interview, I would always be scared to say, oh, you know, I have a kid. Because automatically in my head, I'm already thinking, okay, if I mention my kid, they're going to think, oh my God, this woman's going to, you know, miss work because her kid's sick. Her kid's going to have to go to school. So she's going to ask for some sort of flexibility. You know, there's always going to be an issue. She's not going to be flexible in terms of, like, if she can say after work, if she can come in earlier. So I used to leave most times like heartbroken because I wouldn't mention my child. Because I would think, like, but he's my pride and joy. Like, why do I have to hide this just for the fear of someone else thinking, oh, you're not deemed appropriate for the job?
But we never think they better meet my expectations as to the company that I want to work for.
Yeah.
And if you make that switch, it's like, you kind of want to prepare and ask them questions as well. Like, how do you care for your employees when it comes to sick pay? How do you, let's say I'm a mom, what benefits do you give parents in your company? Like, put them on the spot, because we come into that way. It's like, you know, we want to test that as well. We shouldn't have to apply for a job. And I think that's why it's such a scary process, because we feel like they're superior than us, when in reality, no, it shouldn't be that way. And it comes the same with clothing. You know, when I go Topshop and apparently the size 12 jeans don't fit me anymore, and apparently I'm a size 14 now. Yeah. It's like, well, I shouldn't think bad of myself. If anything, they're not meeting my expectations of
No, it's true.
Don't say that. Because when I roll out of this house and the door doesn't meet my expectations,
she's just going to go and shop in Plus.
No, it's true. And also, I have found that actually sometimes the jeans in Topshop do not meet the size and expectations.
Do you know what? That's so true. Obviously, like before, when life used to be normal, I remember the last pair of jeans I bought in Primark. I think it was size 12, the ones that I ended up buying.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, oh my God, but I've lost so much weight. Why am I size 12? Like, this is beyond me. When I got home, I tried on my like normal size, and they fit me like literally like a glove to the hand. And then I started researching, because I was like, why is it that every time I keep going, the sizes are changing? And they did like a resizing thing in Primark.
Yeah, it's awful. And that obviously impacts like your mental health as well, because you're automatically thinking, shit, I've put on weight, like what is going on? And then you go past like a waffle place and then you're like, oh, I want some of that, but no, I'm a size 14 now, so
no, 100%.
No can do. Buy yourself a salad.
100%, because that time I was like, let's just try this, but it was in the back of my head, like, I can't believe I'm a size 12. Not that there was anything wrong with it, but it was just going on in my head, and then it did affect me.
Because of what we're used to as well, you know. Like, I remember when I was younger, when that comment was made to be about the empanadas, I think I was like a size 10.
And that's like an average size.
Yeah, like back then, for me, that was huge, because my friends were size 6s and 8s. And then now I'm like, I wish I was a size 10.
Mama, I love you.
How can we empower one another and start the journey of self-love?
Cool.
How do we do that? How can we, sometimes as women, we're a bit weird.
I think there's a lot of envy within women. and they all speak about, oh, there's plenty of room for us up here, or like support, but when it comes down to it, it's like, but where are you? Like,
some women, like I said, we go through certain situations that make us act a certain way. So there we have no control, right? We have no control over how other women treat us, but we do have control with what we choose to do and how we choose to react. So what would you want, or what are your expectations of yourself if you wanted to empower women? You know, empowering women could mean different things to us. And for me, it's supporting you. It's letting you know that you are capable of doing anything, and also showing your weaknesses. Because as we mentioned, we don't speak about our weaknesses because we think that we want to show a brave face that we have it all together. But then again, where does that come from? Why do we have to act like we have it all together? So it's, if we were to all understand that, you know, we all have a past and we've all been raised differently. What can we do to get together and basically become a mastermind? You know, giving you advice because we really want the best for you, not out of jealousy, not out of spite. It's not like, oh, she's doing better than me. And if a woman does have those thoughts, it's not your fault. It's the way she was raised. It's what she's been exposed to. And at times we have expectations of maybe girls or our friends, and it's like, why does she have to think that way? But I always say is showing your weaknesses and just accepting that another woman is not your competition. You know, like, why should she be a competition in the first place? Friends, obviously, we all have a life of our own as well. So we want to focus on ourselves, but it's like, I know if I'm there for someone else, I'm helping them and they may help me at one point.
I was going to say that when you feel like you're in this journey and you want to empower women and you want to put that positivity out there, but you're getting the odd Susan pointing the finger and trying to ruin that, how do you park that? How do you turn around and say, you know what, I don't care? Because sometimes that hurts. So how do you do that?
So, like, I know that what I speak about on my stories and my posts, like, that's who I am, and that's based on what I've learned and my personal experience. If someone comes there and says, I don't agree with that, I'll be like, oh, cool. How comes? Let me know. Like, I'm not here to say I'm right. I'm not here to say you're wrong. It's all about understanding where your perspective comes from. Because as I said, that person's perspective is influenced by how she's been raised and her values. And her values are clearly not the same as mine then. As long as you understand your values and what you stand for, other people's comments are not going to affect you much, because you know that, well, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, because what makes my opinion the right way as well, it's unfair and it's very biased. So that's how I would approach it. As I said, like, I made, when I spoke about depression being emotions and things like that, I know there were two people that came to me and they didn't agree with it, but I was like, that's okay. Like, I think they felt like they were scared to approach me, but I was like, no, this is what empowering women is all about. It's not about me telling you you're wrong. I want you to be heard as well.
It's about everyone having a voice. We've all got different opinions on different topics. So the more we can share and kind of give our input on, the more we will all learn.
Exactly. And like, for example, you guys might have different experience growing up. So even the definition of a mom might be different. You know, my definition of a mom might be different to all of you. So you can't say to me, oh, that's wrong, Laura. No, it's just what I think. And I can make that decision myself, and that's okay. And it's being careful about not to judge, isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
Love yourself. I think.
Yeah. Sorry, Hago.
I was just going to sing and say, girl, love yourself. It's just a massive journey. And I feel like you will get to a point where you are happier than you were yesterday. But, you know, it's something that you're growing on every single day, and you're bettering yourself. And it's not just self-love appearance ways, but self-love in your, you know, the thoughts in your head, your thoughts about other people, as you're saying, like empowerment, that being able to project that is also, you know, coming from you loving yourself and where you are at.
I also think just the same way, you know, you buy expensive makeup, you go to the hairdressers and spend X amount of money, that same energy you need to put and invest into your mental health, because that is the most important thing. As you've mentioned, you can shift someone's mood, and not everyone's always going to be happy, but that's okay. Like we're not like little dogs that are always happy. But the most important thing is like people recognizing and not kind of dwelling on, oh no, I just, it's not going to work for me. At least give it a chance, invest in yourself, embark on the journey and see where it goes. Because just as some women, you know, a woman that is scared to invest with you, Laura, might have had doubts that, you know, what if like what she tells me is what I've read before and nothing's going to work. But unless she takes that step, like as we were saying before, she just keeps doing what she's comfortable with and she doesn't come out of her comfort zone, she would not be in the place she is now.
Yeah, I agree with everything you both said. Like, see, as self-love is like a feeling that you get that you loved yourself. So is happiness. And we say happiness is not a destination, it's a journey. So is self-love. And it can be a roller coaster. There will be good days, there will be bad days, but it's a journey. Like, there shouldn't be an end to it. And not everyone's invested in personal development or life coaching. But those who are, that's amazing. And they know that their desire to change is greater than the desire to remain the same. And when that happens, you see results.
Amen, sister.
I'm not going to lie. I think sometimes we always talk about saying Mama's Code is like an open therapy session, but there's sometimes when we do these episodes and I come out thinking, damn, I really needed that.
Yeah, literally.
I've got one last question. What's your golden tip?
I really emphasize a lot on victimizing yourself, like not to victimize yourself. And don't think that you need to put yourself in a box. You're not allowing yourself to unleash your full potential as to what you can be. Like, you're focusing so much on something that really bothers you than choosing to focus on a strength and using that weakness to make you a better person. So when you unbox yourself, you step out of your comfort zone, you complete challenges, you actually grow. Because if you're not growing, you're staying the same. And if you're staying the same, you're dying. Like,
Yeah.
Like, let's make the most out of life. You only have one life. What can you do today to be the woman that you desire to be?
When you said unbox yourself, I could just think of, like, is it Ryan's toy that like unboxes?
What is she saying? Why is she like this? Here's you giving like the best speech. Like, I reckon you deserve an Oscar for this. And in Jessica's mind, Ryan was unboxing a toy. Wow.
No, but you know, I'm gonna add that in case no one has told you, you know, your mental health matters, and this goes out to everyone listening. And guys, if you would like some coaching, you can find Laura on her Instagram at
Laura X Murillo.
There we go. We'll put it in the description. Do check her out. She has amazing stories and quotes every day. And honestly, they are very
uplifting.
Change your mindset and see things in a different light. Express yourself.
You know what? It's been a very long day for you.
She's broken. I'm sorry about her.
Do you know what, guys? Mama's Code out.
Mama's Code.
Thank you so much, Laura.
Yes, thank you.
When this is over, would like to meet you guys.
Me and Erica will be like at the chicken shop.
We'll wait for you with drinks.